Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of 5-Minute Radiography. This episode's going to be kind of ad-libbed here. I received my first question from a user who wishes to remain anonymous. The question is, what made you choose to become a radiographer? Well, that's a long story. As a kid, I was plagued with asthma and chronic bronchitis. So I think I was exposed to a lot of medical imaging procedures probably up till age 12 when my asthma kind of went away. Now, all the way up to that point, I hadn't necessarily considered a career in medical imaging. I wanted to be a pilot. So I was going to air shows and studying up on all the planes, and I wanted to join the military. And come high school age, I was still into that idea. I had joined the cross-country team, and I ran track and field, did water polo for a season. I was really athletic back then. You wouldn't know to look at me now, though. But at age 17, about 2 weeks before I graduated high school, I went in and enlisted in the Navy. Well, I signed the paperwork, and everything was going just fine. I didn't actually tell my parents. And then I got a knock on the door one day. And my mom, I remember this, my mom was sitting on the couch in the living room, and I answered the door. Navy recruiter comes in, shakes my hand, and he says, "Jeremy?" And I said, "Yeah." And I looked over at my mom. She was glaring at me. He says, "Can I come in?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, come on in." And all of this was obviously very embarrassing for me because my mom I think she probably just felt betrayed, or I don't know what was going through her mind, but it wasn't happy thoughts. So the guy says, I'm sorry to inform you, but due to your history of asthma, we can't admit you to the Navy." And just like that, all my dreams had been shot down. So I actually went and talked to a Army recruiter, talked to Air Force recruiter. They all pretty much said the same thing. Now, this was the mid-1990s. So I thought, I was working as a patient transporter, although I think my official job title was darkroom tech back then. I worked at a hospital in Orange County where my best friend's dad had worked, and he had just finished going through x-ray school, and he kind of got me this job. And I would go into the dark room and process film screen images for the technologist there, and I would also transport patients. We kind of had both duties for the radiology department. And I gained a lot of exposure there to general x-ray. So after, a year or two of that, I started looking into the x-ray program thinking, gosh, I could do this. It looked easy from my perspective. I didn't know the intricacies of positioning and the technical factor details that went into all of the decisions that a technologist makes at the time. But I think that's the thing with it. Everyone thinks we're pushing buttons all day. And even as a transporter, I kind of thought that too. And I just thought, wow, this guy's making decent money for doing something that looks pretty easy to do. So he kind of talked to me about it. He let me know, hey, it's not exactly all fun and games. It's not easy, but it's doable. You need to go to x-ray school and kind of figure out how to do this. So I decided, what, that's fine. I don't have a plan B at this point. This sounds like a great plan B. So I enrolled in some prerequisite courses, and then I applied to the radiography program about a year and a half later. So going along fine, doing great in my schooling. And about 6 months before I graduate, I had moved back in with my parents again to kind of help save some money. Got a knock on the door, and the same recruiter shows up. Same uniform, same, mustache. The guy looked like he hadn't aged a day. And he comes in and he says, "Are you still interested in joining the Navy?" And, I thought, well, gosh, I'm almost done with x-ray school. Like, I'm not going to give this up. So he wanted to talk to me. His whole job was to try to recruit me. He says, "Have you ever heard of Operation Desert Shield?" And I said, "Well, yes, I know exactly what that is. I've got friends over there." And he says, "Well, the Navy's made some exceptions in their admission protocol. So if you want, you can join the Navy now." And I just thought about it. I said, I'm in x-ray school. I want to finish this. What kind of a chance would there be for me to be a pilot when I'm out? And he says, "Oh, no, you wouldn't be a pilot. You would probably be a perfect candidate for nuke school." And what they have is a nuclear engineering program that they can put people through. It's a 4-year program just for the education portion of it, and then you serve 4 after. And you'd be working on a submarine or a nuclear aircraft carrier. And the whole point was that you get all the education of a nuclear engineering degree, which sounded really appealing to me. I thought, hey, maybe my education in radiology is going to kind of pay off and give me a leg up there. So I asked the guy for a few days to think about it. In the meantime, I reached out to some people I knew that I had heard or I thought had gone through that program. And this one guy gets a hold of me and he says, yes, he says, this is a great program. You're going to learn all sorts of great stuff. He says, the problem is the curriculum that you learn is going to be classified. So when you get out of the Navy and become a civilian, you'll have to do the whole nuclear engineering degree again, basically, because you can't prove with transcripts the education that you had to qualify for credits towards that degree. So anyways, that's making a long story a little bit short here. I decided not to, because if I wasn't going to be a pilot, I really liked my plan B. And as you can see, I've grown quite a bit in my career. I've really enjoyed medical imaging as a career, and I don't think I would take it back at this point. It's just kind of one of those things where things work out for a reason. You know, even though it wasn't my initial plan, I've obviously enjoyed it. I love learning every day. I love perfecting the practice. I love teaching other people how to do this. And it all kind of spawned off of, having some medical conditions as a kid to missing an opportunity for what I thought I wanted to do. So yeah, that's it. I hope I answered your question well enough. So thank you, Anonymous, for sending me that question. I'd like to encourage anybody else who has questions for me to go ahead and shoot them my way. You can email me at topicsinradiography@gmail.com. That's the email address I had for my old website, which is now down. Or you can get in touch with me over social media at 5MinRad for Twitter and Instagram, or you can join the interactive Facebook group. I'm going to be having some additional stuff come up that I think you're going to find very interesting, and you might want an opportunity to participate in that. So make sure you're subscribing on iTunes or your favorite podcatcher for any of the most up-to-date episodes to be automatically added to your feed. And keep in touch with me on social media. Hope you guys have a great week, and I'll chat with you soon.